Hello, and welcome to part 2 of our shuttle bus to tiny home conversion. Nice to see you again.
Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of our shuttle bus build. If you missed part 1 of our shuttle bus build, which explains how we bought the bus, a little bit of background between the two of us, and the first steps we took on this build, you can check that out and get up to speed. When we last left you, we had just finished completing our propane locker, and we were in the midst of moving on to installing our water tank.
In our old van, we had a 7-gallon freshwater tank, and that is not a lot, and it was one of the biggest things that we struggled with, was always having enough water when we were traveling. This time around, we have decided to go to the other end of the spectrum, and we have installed a 100-gallon freshwater tank under our bed. So that's going to be enough water for us to stay off-grid for probably 2 weeks at a time, if not longer.
Yeah, you could pretty much take a bath in this water tank. Not that we will, because that would be gross, but you could if you wanted to.
So at 100 gallons in size, the tank is obviously really large and it takes up a ton of space under our bed, but we wanted to maximize the amount of storage space that we still have in that area since it doesn't meet the bottom of the bed platform. So our solution was to build sort of a wooden frame around the outside to both hold it in place and allow us to store things on top of it. We also installed the water fill inlet for the tank, which is on the side of the bus. We just took a hole saw and drilled a hole in the side and sealed it with butyl tape, and then ran tubing and a vent into the tank so that the air will have a place to escape and water has a place to enter. We decided to go with PEX tubing for our pipes because it's standard in most RVs and it's really cheap and easy to work with, so it was an obvious choice for us, and it's a huge improvement over the tie-down tubing we had in our last van. Another part of the plumbing system that we upgraded this time around is built-in winterizing valves. We travel all over the place during the year, but we often come home to Buffalo during the holidays, and the weather is obviously pretty cold when we've come here, and we've had issues with our pipes freezing in the past when we come up this far north. And winterizing our old system was a huge pain. It involved a lot of disassembly. But this time around, we have a winterizing tube for both our general plumbing system and a bypass for our hot water heater built right into the system. So this should allow us to winterize the system in no time at all.
Look at that, Jess Chiswick, master plumber.
It's coming together.
What you got here?
So this is our freshwater plumbing system. So this is the system that will pull water out of the freshwater tank here and send it into the rest of the bus, which is behind me. So it'll come in this way, go through a filter, pass through our winterizing tube, which will really come in handy when we come home to Buffalo in the wintertime. This is the pump that pulls the water in. This is the accumulator that helps keep the system pressurized. And then one line that's cold is going to run out this way. One line that's going to be hot runs in and out of our water heater and then runs down to the shower. All in a day's work.
While traveling, I do most of the driving, and while I'm used to driving a larger vehicle, our van was about 20 feet bumper to bumper. This bus is about 25 feet, which is significantly larger than what we had in the past. Because of that, we decided to add a backup camera. Just makes parking in parking lots a little bit easier, backing into spots, making sure you're not going to hit any telephone poles or shrubbery in the Walmart parking lot. The installation of this was pretty straightforward. Actually, there was wiring and an old backup camera that was not functional on the bus when we bought it. So there was a spot to mount it, there was a hole for a wire to go through. In the front of the cab, there is actually a mounting bracket, which we're assuming was from the monitor for the backup camera that was originally in the bus. The monitor that we got, though, didn't fit in the bracket, so we had to improvise a way to actually mount the screen. Jess actually went and built out of scrap plywood just a wooden box for us to screw the mounting plate for the monitor into, and then put that box into the existing bracket. This ended up being just a really cheap, easy solution for having our screen mounted in the front.
We also recently installed our heater. So we decided to go with a propane powered heater. Ours is a Propex HS2000. We really like this model for a couple of reasons. One being that it vents through the floor, which is great. We didn't want anything that vented through the roof. And the other being that it comes with a thermostat that allows us to have, really good temperature control in the bus when we travel to colder climates. It also is installed inside of our couch, or where our couch will be, so it's completely hidden from view, which is something else we also liked about it. One of the bigger jobs that we accomplished over the last few weeks was installing all 3 of our roof vent fans. This bus has no windows that open, which is kind of a bummer because it was a prison shuttle before it was our tiny house. So all of the windows are closed, and it really creates kind of a ventilation issue. Our old van had no windows either, so we are very familiar with how important ventilation is in a small space. So we decided to go with 3 max air fans this time around. We have one over the bed, one over the kitchen area, and one towards the front near where the bathroom will be. The installation process for these fans is kind of tedious. So you start by cutting a 14 by 14 inch hole in the roof, which is always scary. And then in our situation, we had some metal cross pieces in the ceiling that were directly in the way of where we wanted to install our fans. So each one of those in the appropriate locations had to be cut out and then re-welded into place on either side of the fan so that we didn't lose the structure in the roof. Then we had to frame out the openings with 1x2s to allow us to have something to drill into and to attach the fans to the roof and give them structure. And then each fan had to be sealed with butyl tape and caulk on the roof to prevent any water from getting in through those openings. It was an all-day, 12-hour-long project, but we did manage to install all 3 fans in one go, which was great. One of the bigger challenges with a vehicle with this many windows is figuring out what to do when you want to put something in front of them. Windows can create a lot of condensation, and moisture anywhere in the bus can be a problem, especially in the long term. So we had to orchestrate a solution that would allow the windows to breathe but also be insulated and allow us to install walls and furniture over the top of them. So we have a multi-layer solution to this problem. We have a layer of enamel black spray paint on the window glass. Then that's followed by a layer of foam board insulation, just like what we used on our walls. And then in front of that is a piece of 1/4 inch plywood that bends to the curvature of the bus walls. At the top and bottom of each window, there is an opening, and that opening will allow air to flow through the window and hopefully remove any condensation and prevent moisture buildup in those locations. These openings would also allow us to point a fan up in the windows and dry out any condensation should we notice that it was appearing and not properly venting.
What do you think of the walls?
I like that they're in.
That is the most redeeming quality of these walls, is that they are in fact walls. And that they are installed. It's pretty cool that we started off with 14 windows and we'll only end up with 5.
Super cool.
So we touched on the length of this bus earlier. Originally, when we were looking at buses, we were looking for something in the length range of 22 feet to 23.5 feet. This bus is 25, so we had a little bit of extra space to deal with on the interior. Instead of opting for more living space, we decided that having more storage space would be more beneficial to us. The new garage space is 18 inches from our back door to the new wall that we've constructed, and it will eventually have floor-to-ceiling shelving to house all of our music gear and outdoor camping equipment, and basically a lot of bulky items that will be able to be accessed through the back door.
The wall is primarily constructed of 2x2s and 2x4s in some key locations, and it will have 1/2-inch plywood on either side to add some additional structure and allow us to mount those shelves and the other things that are going to need to be supported by it.
Once we had the bottom half of our back wall installed, it allowed us to start working on our bed platform. The bed platform is constructed of 4x4 posts, some 2x4 framing, and 3/4-inch plywood for the platform itself. Our plumbing system is housed underneath our bed platform, which meant that we needed to construct something to protect the plumbing system from any of the things we may store underneath the bed. We decided to put in a removable platform above the plumbing system that would allow us to store things on top of it, and that way we wouldn't lose any vertical space, but we made the platform removable so that in case we ever needed to work on the plumbing system, we would have access to it. On top of that platform, we have a portion of our bed platform that is also completely removable, so that we'll have access to the storage on top of our plumbing system.
The main portion of our bed platform is not removable, rather it has a hinge in the back, so this allows the platform to lift up at sort of an angle. In the future, we'll be installing some struts on that will allow it to be held open as well. So this will allow us a pretty good amount of access to the main portion of our underbed storage. One of the things that can happen with mattresses in RVs, bus builds, van builds is moisture buildup. So moisture can get underneath the mattress and cause mold issues, which is obviously something that we don't want. So we've implemented a couple of things to hopefully prevent this from being an issue in the bus. The first thing that we did was we drilled holes into the mattress platform themselves to allow for additional airflow and ventilation. And then we also painted the top of the platform with RedGuard, which is a water barrier. This is probably not totally necessary because we don't really expect to have a lot of moisture on the platform. At least we're hoping we won't. But in the event that moisture does end up in this location, it will keep it from ruining the wood. When we go to install our mattress, we will also be using a mattress underlayment that will allow for even more air circulation underneath the mattress itself. Hopefully, with all of these things combined, we will not have any moisture issues with our mattress.
That brings us to the end of this second installment of our shuttle bus build. There will be plenty more videos to follow, so if you've been enjoying the process so far, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.